Hey there. Let's start with something real. Have you ever walked into a room and someone flashes you a big old smile, but your gut just goes, nope, something's off? You can't put your finger on it, but it's there. This isn't you being paranoid. It's not you overthinking. It's your instinct kicking in, picking up on something deeper, something about human nature itself. And if there's one guy who'd get what's going on here, it's Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher who didn't mess around when it came to truth. Today, we're diving into a topic that hits close to home for a lot of us. The people who secretly resent you. Those folks who smile to your face, but you just know they're not rooting for you. We're not just going to spot the signs of that hidden hostility. We're going to unpack what it means, why it happens, what it says about them, and how you can rise above it, using Nietzsche's ideas as our guide. This isn't about pointing fingers or playing the victim. Nietzsche would roll his eyes at that. It's about understanding human nature, so you can move through the world with clarity and strength. And if you've ever been told to just let it go when you feel that resentment aimed at you, stick around. Nietzsche would say, don't let it go. Understand it. Use it to grow. So, grab a coffee, settle in, and let's get into it. Here's the first sign someone might be harboring some secret resentment. All right, let's talk about the smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. You know the one, where someone's mouth says, I'm happy for you, but their vibe screams something else entirely. Nietzsche had a word for this kind of thing, Ressentiment. It's a fancy term, but it's simple at its core. It's what happens when someone feels powerless, envious, or angry deep down. But instead of owning it, they stuff it away and slap on a polite mask. Think about it. Maybe it's a coworker who says, wow, great job on that promotion, but their tone's got this sarcastic edge. Or a friend who jokes about your new car, like, must be nice to afford that. Those little digs, they're not accidents. They're resentment dressed up as friendliness. Have you noticed this? Someone who can only cheer for you with a backhanded compliment? Like, you're doing so well, but for someone with your background, ouch. That's not just bad manners. That's ressentiment. There's suppressed envy or rage leaking out in tiny passive-aggressive jabs. Nietzsche said this comes from people who feel stuck, who can't or won't chase their own power. So they redirect that energy into resenting those who are moving forward. You're not doing anything wrong by succeeding. You're just shining a light on what they're afraid to face in themselves. Here's a real-life example. I had a friend once. Let's call her Sarah. Every time I shared good news, she'd say something like, that's awesome, but don't get too cocky, you know? At first, I brushed it off. But over time, I saw the pattern. Her jokes weren't about me. They were about her own doubts, holding her back. So, next time you catch that fake smile or hear a subtle jab, don't take it personally. See it for what it is, their struggle, not yours. Nietzsche would tell you to keep your eyes open, but don't let it drag you down. Let's move to the next sign.
Now, let's talk about something sneakier. When someone tries to dim your light, but it looks like they're helping. Nietzsche called this kind of behavior part of slave morality, a mindset where people feel better about themselves by pulling others down, all while acting like they're being good or moral. You've probably seen this. Maybe it's a family member who gives you advice that's kind of terrible. Like you're starting a business and they say, oh, don't aim too high. Most startups fail, you know. Or a colleague who forgets to share key info you need to shine at work. It's sabotage, but it's so subtle you almost miss it. Here's a question for you. Does this person celebrate when you rise? Like, really celebrate? Or do they get quiet, change the subject, or suddenly seem less present? If it's the latter, that's a red flag. They're not rooting for you. They're trying to shrink you to fit their comfort zone. Nietzsche would say this comes from a deep insecurity. People with slave morality don't believe they can climb, so they want everyone else to stay small too. It's not about you being too much, it's about them feeling like they're not enough. I saw this with a guy I knew. Let's call him Mike. I was training for a marathon, and Mike, who never exercised, kept saying things like, "You sure you won't burn out? Running's bad for your knees." It sounded like concern, but it wasn't. It was his way of keeping me on his level. Once I saw it, I stopped letting his words weigh me down. So, watch for those moments when someone's help feels like a leash. Nietzsche would tell you to thank them politely and keep running your race. Next up, another sign that's easy to miss.
Okay, let's talk about the people who turn every conversation into a low-key contest. You share something you're proud of, and suddenly they've got a story that's just a little better. Nietzsche would love this one because it's all about the will to power, that drive we all have to assert ourselves. But in some folks, especially the insecure ones, it comes out as this quiet, unspoken need to one-up you. Picture this. You tell a friend, "I just got a raise." And instead of saying, "That's awesome," they go, "Oh, nice. I got a bonus last month, bought a new TV." Boom. Your moment's hijacked. It's not a chat anymore. It's a duel. Have you been there? You share something exciting, only to hear, "Oh, I did that too, but better." Let's pause for a sec, because that wasn't just a comment. That was them trying to flex their will to power, but in this sneaky, competitive way. Nietzsche said everyone's got this drive to feel powerful, but not everyone channels it into creating or growing. Some people just compete because it's easier to outshine you than to shine on their own. It's not about you doing anything wrong. It's about their need to feel bigger by making you feel smaller. I had a coworker once who did this constantly. I'd mention a project I nailed, and he'd pivot to his own wins, like we were keeping score. At first it stung, but then I realized, through Nietzsche's lens, he wasn't fighting me, he was fighting his own doubts. So when you spot that quiet competition, don't take the bait. Smile, nod, and keep doing you. Nietzsche would say, let them compete with themselves. You've got bigger things to build. Let's look at the next sign.
This one hits hard when someone's support feels hollow. You know what I mean? The "I'm so proud of you" that sounds like they're reading a script, or the hug that's stiff, like they're counting the seconds till it's over. Nietzsche would say this is what happens when envy gets dressed up as being nice, because society tells us we're supposed to cheer for each other, even when we don't mean it. You feel it, don't you? That moment when you share a win and their response is, meh. Like you tell them you landed a dream job and they go, that's great, but their eyes are already somewhere else. It's not support, it's a performance. Here's the thing. You're not imagining it. That cold cheer, that half-hearted clap, it's real. And Nietzsche would say, it's not your job to fix their feelings. They're wrestling with their own envy, and they've learned to hide it behind a smile to seem good. Think about this example. My sister once shared how she felt this with a friend. She got accepted into grad school, and her friend said, "Wow, that's cool," but didn't ask a single question. Later, that same friend posted online about people who brag too much. Yikes. That wasn't about my sister. It was about her friend's struggle to celebrate someone else's shine. Nietzsche would tell you, this comes from a culture that teaches us to suppress our true feelings. Instead of owning their envy, they fake support, and it leaves you feeling unseen. Don't let it shake you. Their cold cheers are about their limits, not your worth. Let's move to the big question. Why do people do this at all? It's not what you think.
So why do people resent you? Why the fake smiles, the subtle digs, the cold cheers? If you're thinking, it's because I'm doing too well, you're only half right. Nietzsche didn't believe people hate others because they're evil or just plain mean. He believed they resent because they're afraid they'll never become what you're becoming, afraid your growth highlights their stagnation. Let's unpack this. You're out there chasing your dreams. Maybe you're starting a business, getting fit, or just living with more confidence. That's awesome, right? But for some people, your shine is like a mirror, reflecting back everything they've buried. Their unfulfilled dreams, their fears of failure, their excuses. And that hurts. So instead of facing it, they turn that pain outward, onto you. Nietzsche called this a clash of values. You're living what he'd call a master morality, creating, striving, embracing your power. But those who resent you, they're often stuck in slave morality, where they feel better by tearing down what threatens them. It's not about you being too much. It's about them feeling like they're not enough. Here's a story. I knew a guy, let's call him Tom, who started resenting his best friend after she launched a successful blog. He'd make snide comments like, "Blogging's so easy, anyone could do it." But deep down, Tom wanted to write too, but he was too scared to start. His friend's success wasn't the problem. It was the mirror it held up to his own fear. This is why Nietzsche is so powerful here. He'd say, their resentment isn't your burden. You're not responsible for their pain. But you can use their reaction as a signal. Their envy shows you're on the right path, because growth always stirs up those who won't grow. You're a living reminder of what's possible, and that's a gift, even if it stings them. So don't dim your light to make them comfortable. Don't apologize for your fire, but don't hate them either. Understand them. See their resentment for what it is. Their struggle, not your failure. Now let's talk about what you do with all this, because Nietzsche wouldn't want you to just sit there, he'd want you to rise.
All right, you've spotted the signs. You see the fake smiles, the subtle sabotage, the quiet competitions. Now what? Nietzsche's got no time for whining or getting even. He'd tell you to do something radical. Transcend the resentment game. Don't react with more resentment. Don't shrink to fit their smallness. Elevate. Become so strong, so focused, that their noise fades into the background. Let's break this down with one of Nietzsche's most powerful ideas, amor fati, love your fate. This isn't some fluffy, everything happens for a reason vibe. It's hardcore. It means embracing everything in your life, the wins, the losses, the love, and yes, even the resentment aimed at you. Don't wish they didn't hate you. Let them. Watch them. Learn from them. And keep growing, no matter what. Here's how you do it. First, stop trying to win their approval. If someone's resenting you, they're already in a different game, one where your success feels like their loss. You can't change that, and it's not your job to. Nietzsche would say, focus on your own will to power. Build your life, your dreams, your strength. Their resentment? It's just static. Second, set boundaries. You don't have to cut them out, though sometimes you might, but you do need to protect your energy. If their sarcasm or cold cheers start to weigh you down, limit how much you share with them. Share your wins with people who lift you up, not those who subtly tear you down. Third, use their resentment as fuel. Nietzsche loved this idea of turning pain into power. Someone's envious of your hustle? Good. Let it remind you why you're hustling in the first place. Their quiet competition? Let it push you to go harder, not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. Here's a real-world example. A friend of mine, Lisa, had a coworker who kept undermining her ideas in meetings. Instead of getting mad, Lisa took Nietzsche's advice. Well, kinda. She stopped seeking that coworker's approval, focused on her work, and started pitching her ideas to people who valued them. Over time, her success spoke louder than her coworker's shade. She didn't fight resentment with resentment, she transcended it. Now, let's be clear, this isn't about being cold or heartless. Nietzsche wasn't saying, screw everyone else. He was saying, don't let their weakness stop you from becoming who you're meant to be. Keep climbing. The right people, the ones who celebrate your rise, who match your fire, they'll rise with you. The rest, they'll stay small, and that's their choice. So don't shrink to be liked. Don't dim to be safe. You're not here to be everyone's favorite. You're here to become, to live with courage, to create, to soar. Nietzsche would cheer for that, and so do I. Let's wrap this up with a final thought that'll stick with you. We've covered a lot today. How to spot the signs of hidden resentment, why people do it, and how to rise above it with Nietzsche's wisdom. But here's the truth that ties it all together. The higher you climb, the more you'll stand out to those who can't or won't climb with you. Nietzsche put it beautifully. The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. If someone resents your flight, don't take it as a sign to land. It might just mean you're already in the air, living the kind of life they're too scared to chase. Their resentment isn't your failure. It's proof. You're doing something right. So be the flame, not the moth. Don't circle around their doubts, their envy, their smallness. Burn bright. Let your life be so full, so bold, that their resentment can't touch you. And when you find those rare people who cheer for your fire instead of trying to snuff it out, hold them close. They're your tribe. I want to hear from you. Have you ever dealt with someone who secretly resented you? Maybe it was a fake smile, a subtle jab, or just that cold vibe. Drop it in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Honestly, no shame. Your story might help someone else see clearly. If this video gave you some clarity or a new way to think about resentment, hit that subscribe button. I'm dropping new videos every week, real talk about growth, not just self-help fluff. And if you know someone who needs this, share it with them. Let's build a community that's all about rising, not resenting. Thanks for watching. Keep soaring, and I'll see you in the next one.